What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and R. Kelly was just sentenced to 30 years in prison for some charges that I can't even name here on YouTube. Because if I say the name of R. Kelly's charges, YouTube will demonetize my videos. But I'm sure by now all of you all know the type of things that R. Kelly is accused of doing. And let's be honest here, it goes well beyond accusations. You know, R. Kelly had a little thing for recording his, let's just call them his escapades. R. Kelly liked to record his escapades with underage women. So there is videotaped evidence that R. Kelly is guilty of doing stuff with little girls. Okay? So it goes beyond accusations. I hate when people look at this situation and try to pretend like R. Kelly is innocent. You know what I mean? R. Kelly is not innocent. This isn't a conspiracy to take out R. Kelly. This isn't a conspiracy for anything else. I know there's a lot of theories out there as to why people were coming after R. Kelly. Well, it's because he was a madman, a monster, a sexual deviant who was basically running a sex cult, just doing God knows what to all type of little girls and women who were of age as well. Now, today he was sentenced to 30 years in prison, and I can't help but feel like this was decades in the making. Like this finally feels like the conclusion of a story that was opened up long ago and never closed. You have to understand that back in the day, R. Kelly had a relationship with an underage Aaliyah. And I was too young to know anything was wrong at the time. I'm a 91 baby. I'm 31 years old. So that was well before I would know anything was wrong there. But people didn't say anything. R. Kelly dated this little girl, was about to get, I don't really want to go down the whole history of it, but all the way back when R. Kelly was dating Aaliyah, it should have been nipped in the bud back then. That was obviously a problem, but people turned a blind eye towards it. And then, of course, years later, it comes out that R. Kelly's peeing on people. R. Kelly winded up moving past that. And the situation just kept snowballing and snowballing and snowballing until we got to the point where we're at today. The point that I'm trying to make here is this R. Kelly situation should have been nipped in the bud a long time ago. And it almost feels surreal today looking at this news because this situation has been going on for the majority of my life. And that's not like an over exaggeration. Like for basically as long as I've been here on this earth, this R. Kelly situation has been unfolding. Now, today the victims were also in court. They held hands during the sentencing. A lot of them had words for R. Kelly, but R. Kelly, I am told, was stone-faced through it all. Even after receiving the 30-year sentence, he showed no reaction. He was cold towards it. The judge even said that although sex was certainly a weapon that you used, this is not a case about sex. It's a case about violence, cruelty, and control. Now, Kelly's lawyers plan on filing an appeal. They were hoping for a 10-year sentence, while everyone else was hoping for life, the max. Now, R. Kelly is in his 50s. I believe he's like 55 years old. Don't quote me on that, but I believe he's around 55 years old. So a 30-year sentence for R. Kelly is basically a lifelong sentence. Make no mistake about it, R. Kelly will most likely die in jail. R. Kelly will most likely spend the remainder of his days in jail. Now, I'm not sure how this sentencing works. I haven't had the chance to really look into things yet. I just got the news and I sat down to record this video. Will R. Kelly have to do all 30 years? Who knows? I'm sure he could get out early. Sometimes when you get sentenced to certain, sentences, sometimes you only do half that time. You parole out after 15 if you get a 30. I'm not so sure about how this is going to work for R. Kelly. What I do know for a fact is that R. Kelly is facing other charges. So after this, R. Kelly's got to go over to Chicago and face some more charges that I can't really talk about here. But let's just say being in possession of child videos. Let's just say that, So he's facing some other serious charges that will most likely get him more years behind bars. So 30 years, I'm sure there will be another 10 added on top at the very least. In my opinion, maybe even more. So chances are R. Kelly will never see the light of day again. Now, of course, they can appeal. I don't think that's going to work out so good for him. There's so much evidence against him. Like I said, for an example, R. Kelly videotaped a lot of these situations. So there's really no denying it, at this point. One of the victims said that they had lost hope in the judicial system in America, but now this situation has restored their faith. One person said that I was afraid, naive, and only 17 years old. I did not know how to handle the situation. They shared a lot of, stories about what they had been through over the years and talked about how Kelly used his fame and popularity to systematically prey upon children and young women for his own sexual gratification. And that's true. Since the beginning of the history of time, people have used their positions of power for sexual favors, And this R. Kelly situation, it's a unique situation because I understand that when you're a star, when you're a famous person, you're always going to get those crazies that are trying to look to you as a check. You know what I mean? Like, they'll accuse you of anything just to get some money out of you. This situation with R. Kelly is not that. R. Kelly is very much guilty of doing the things that he's accused of doing. And the court of law has already proven that. R. Kelly proved that when he decided to videotape himself doing these acts. So there's no denying that R. Kelly is guilty of doing what he's doing. Now, what I will say here, I'm not defending R. Kelly in any way. Not every woman that was caught up in this situation was some underage woman. Some are grown women. Some are older than me. And I noticed throughout looking at this situation, there was a lot of young girls who were taken advantage of, but I felt like there were other women who kind of knew the situation was going on and they took advantage of the situation. Meaning that you already know that R. Kelly was accused of peeing on underage girls and doing a lot of weird stuff back in the day, yet you still placed yourself in his presence, being a grown woman, and you still put yourself in that position to have something happen to you in order for you to capitalize off of it later. So I do believe there were a few people, a few victims of R. Kelly, and I'm not trying to victim blame here, that really weren't genuine. I really think that they tried to capitalize off the situation. However, there were a bunch of little girls who knew no better that R. Kelly did take advantage of. So I do want to point out that. I will always be as fair as possible. And another thing that I noticed here today that I couldn't help but notice that really kind of irked my nerves is that R. Kelly got 30 years. And I don't disagree with R. Kelly getting 30 years. I agree with that. But Maxwell, I'm sure you all know the Maxwell I'm talking about. I can't say her first name on YouTube either. Maxwell got 20 years. And R. Kelly got 30. Forgive me for what I'm about to say, and some people may take this wrong. R. Kelly is a saint compared to Maxwell. R. Kelly is a horrible, gross person. I get it. He's a monster. He is still a saint compared to Maxwell. The fact that R. Kelly is getting all of this time and Maxwell is getting a lighter sentence than R. Kelly, it's almost unbelievable. I would go so far as to say I wouldn't even be surprised if R. Kelly went to Maxwell for some of the girls that he got. Although, I think R. Kelly preyed on a different type. But still, that's really insane to me, and it shows me the obsession that we have in this country with celebrities. R. Kelly, in my opinion, he's getting this sentence that's harsher than Maxwell's sentence because R. Kelly is this famous person. R. Kelly is, how can I put it? Like I said, over here we have this obsession with celebrities. So it's They want you to believe that what R. Kelly did was worse than what Maxwell did. And it's hard to say this in a way where it doesn't sound like I'm defending R. Kelly, but I'm not at all. I believe R. Kelly should have got every one of those years. I'm just saying it's weird that he gets 30 and Maxwell gets 20. And it's all to do with this obsession that we have in this country with celebrities and how they use situations like this to distract us. I mean, for example, the Johnny Depp trial. There is no reason on God's green earth why the Johnny Depp trial got more coverage and more publicity than the Maxwell trial. Don't get me wrong, I was fully wrapped up in the Johnny Depp trial. I understand why everyone was interested in it. I have no problem with that. But when you see that the mainstream media and just the media in general, like, there was this hyper focus on this celebrity trial while Maxwell was pushed under the rug. So they kind of guide the general public about what to care about. Make no mistake about it. The government and the powers that be, they want you to be more upset at R. Kelly than at Maxwell. That's basically the point that I'm trying to get at, because they know that while the R. Kelly situation was bad, it's nothing compared to Maxwell. So when I look at this situation, it sickens me to my stomach a little bit. Because where are all of Maxwell's clients? Why isn't anyone else taking the fall here? Yet here we got R. Kelly probably about to get 50 years in prison. Whereas, it's hard to put in words exactly what I'm feeling here, but I hope you all get the point that I'm trying to make. But the overall point, I guess, that I'm trying to make is they want us to hyper-focus on these celebrities and pay attention to all of that. And they want us to be outraged that this celebrity did that. But they want you to forget about this person that's really pulling the strings and providing the celebrities with young girls and young kids. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, we get it. R. Kelly's bad. We've known that for a while. But what about Maxwell? It seems to me that R. Kelly is a horrible person, yet Maxwell is enabling thousands of R. Kellys to get away with R. Kelly-like things. You understand what I'm saying here? R. Kelly is R. Kelly. R. Kelly went down for doing what R. Kelly did. But there are 1,000 more people out there just like R. Kelly who would go to Maxwell for their underage people to prey upon. But it is what it is. Also, I think there's this debate out there over, will you listen to R. Kelly's music anymore? Listen, I've always been an R. Kelly fan growing up. R. Kelly made some of the best R&B music ever. There's no escaping that. However, I try to skip past the music as much as possible. I haven't listened to a single Travis Scott song since Astroworld. When it comes on the radio, I change it. R. Kelly, it's harder than with Travis Scott for sure, but I'm not listening to his music either. And his music really had some... There's certain things that I went through in my life where his music really resonated for me. You know, from losing loved ones to my first time going to see Space Jam in the movie theater. Like, there were moments in my life that are forever tied to R. Kelly songs. And that's weird. And you don't really realize that until you, like, you know, a situation like this happens and you like, oh shit, you know, like, I really had emotional connections to some of this guy's work. But, you know, my grandfather taught me at an early age that sometimes you need to separate the art from the artist. So I understand that as well. So I don't hold anything against people who still listen to this person's music or that person's music. But me, in general, I try not to really listen to it. But let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Maybe I'll dig into this case a little bit more. But I think this case has already been dug into. You know, I think this case has gotten exposed pretty well. But let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all on the next video.